For years he's targeted dark people. For some reason his gun collides his scope with the color. This white figure dressed in the blue hue of deep seas sees color and paints his own image of what it's supposed to mean. He blushes when he identifies the intensity of black tints. That's why he doesn't like tints when your complexion is too complex for real value. The law has undertones that shade a picture of inequality, and if you break it, which you will, he has the right to stain you till you've died. Red, I was born a black boy in the belly of the beast. White blood cells imprisoned me in melanin sin as I was pulled from the oceans of eternity and pushed into time. I bore a scar as of scarlet inscribed in my skin. This script for my life proved to be a treasure in my chest, an X that marked the spot where I patched my heart with gold and silver, hooked my hands onto worldly pleasures and pirate booty that isn't mine. This dark place I was birthed into became my natural habitat. I see as black cats or presidential Democrats. My soul was somber, sunless Sundays, demeanor misdemeanors. Rub on some cocoa butter in your tastiest coffee with some creamer, but my flesh was all black. There was no vitiligo in my villainy, and my dark ancestors were divinity and antiquity. I was only overly, overtly, and obviously obsidian. My nature was Negro, and nobody knew nothing but night from this nigga. I'm 9 or 19 or 99. And I'm always nodded at nervously when walking by white Christians who worry whether their safety is secure but still strive to seem saved. They see my circumstances as a sinner, but stand circumcised without saying a syllable. These silly saints stay away like I'm the Black Plague or something. I can't help that the divine designed me with malign melanin, but they know this colorless cop is killing creatures just like me. For years he's targeted dark people. For some reason his gun collides his scope with the color. This white figure dressed in the blue hue of deep seas sees color and paints his own image of what it's supposed to mean. He blushes when he identifies the intensity of black tints. That's why he doesn't like tints when your complexion is too complex for real value. The law has undertones that shade a picture of inequality, and if you break it, which you will, he has the right to stain you till you've died. Red, my scarlet scar let me know I wasn't perfect. The more I grew, the more my flesh would swell. It would swell like wood swells in sweltering heat. I swear it was swell. It was well with my soul. I was sold, even told I was sold, but my soul was so lost. I was sold on the solution of fists in the air. My conscience was double, but assist was right here. I relied on my complex of complexion and theirs, where I found myself ensnared and I wasn't aware of what people like me. And they empathize. We can picket and protest, but our people still die. It's an epidemic, and it's sweeping our lives. White police will police just by leasing our lives. Black pride said to stay away from this white man's religion, but my stomach started groaning for the truth. I knew new news would noose niggas in trees at nighttime, but my mouth was watering for its fruit, and my neck was the nectar of knowledge from the tree of education, and I got schooled as it went down the wrong pipeline. See, I was black, and I should have known that institutions of education only led to institutions where I'd be held for lifetimes, and at the right time I was caught red-handed and backhanded. My name slandered and branded as a bad bandit. I'm shackled, but he's impassioned and imagines, babbling an acid and a hazardous B-savage. He defastens and he reasons his deep passion. It seems tragic, but he feels this every day, and it keeps passing. I see assassins, but he sees me, and he reads captions. I flinch and I'm blasted, but it wasn't his reaction. He planned this. Before I did what I did, he saw me and knew that he wanted to take me. Before my mother birthed me, he knew that he wanted to break me from this world. He saw the sin beneath my skin and wanted me to be his sacrificial lamb. He included me in death before it became an existential plan. I was Moses, born and legally should have died, but I was put in the water with color and I was dyed. Lifted from the sea by royalty undeservingly, was supplied with the life magnificent. This dying is satisfied. My pride was cool, but I could never find it inside. The king they told me wasn't me, but this killer, somehow he pried me into this family. A better place I reside. A dark man died in his blood, a colorful genocide. He walked through my body, was fading, and then he cried. Finally I caught you, there's nowhere that you could hide. Everyone I call, they run and they're terrified because the flesh is black and they lied. They need to be justified. You broke the law, Moses. It's time to be purified. I've opened up your eyes, now I guess that you must decide. I passed out, eyes closed, but I was no longer blind. Shot in the head, no longer was I behind. Knowledge revealed, no longer was I beguiled. Near Mescot there, he committed to suicide. The scene was savage and scarlet, he committed to suicide. I had no wounds, he committed to suicide. My shirt was dyed maroon, he committed to suicide. This tomb became a womb, he committed to suicide. For years he's targeted dark people. For some reason his gun collides his scope with the color. This white figure, dressed in the blue hue of deep seas color, and paints his own image of what it's supposed to mean. He blushes when he identifies the intensity of black tints. That's why he doesn't lack tints when your complexion is too complex for real value. The law has undertones that shade a picture of inequality, and if you break it, which you will, he has the right to stain you till you died red.